హాయ్ గైస్, నేను మీ అనిల్. ఈ వీడియోలో ఇంకొక కొత్త టాపిక్ తెలుసుకుందాం. యూ గాట్ బోర్డ్ విత్ ది ఫర్ లూప్స్ అండ్ ఆల్ అదర్ థింక్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్, రైట్? అండ్ లెట్స్ లర్న్ వన్ న్యూ థింగ్ టుడే. So in this video we are going to talk about another loop statement called while. If you want to check previous videos, please do click here, don't forget. So if you come here directly, probably you may understand what's happening here, but if you want to get to know more about previous videos, please do click. And let's get into it. I'll share the screen. So what we are going to discuss today is a while statement. So what is while? It's very similar to for loop. So all the difference that you can see here is initialization is happening at the start, and then the increment is happening within the block. So it's not at the same place where earlier we saw in the for loop. So while has very simple syntax. So if you remember the condition, it just accepts the condition, one expression. So in for loop, it has three expressions inside this block, but here it is only one expression. But remaining two expressions are not ignored. So they are there, but one is before while and one is within the block. But for loop and this one has a bit different syntax, but both used for looping the statements. There will be some special cases that you can choose while over for, because let me say one example. If you look at for loop, you have to take this initialization at the same place and increment at the same place. Let's say even if you don't give it, for works. I'll tell you what I mean to say. Well, what I mean to say is, if you look at this, right, ఇక్కడ మనకి ఈ I is equal to j is equal to 1 అన్నది, still you can give it over here. So let me just show you what I mean to say. This is the last program that we have executed, right? So here it still accepts three expressions, but what you can do is you can give empty in the first expression. It doesn't mean that you are ignoring completely. You are giving it, but there is a semicolon here, and you can still go ahead and do the same thing, like j is equal to j plus 1 using for loop also. But if you look at this, I'm not saying you cannot achieve this, but you look at this, one semicolon here, one semicolon here, and then initialization. So it looks very similar to whatever the syntax that you have seen right now, right? This is the syntax. It looks very similar. So even for also can be done this way, but remember, so there are these things, like if you remove it, for doesn't accept it. You still need to maintain that semicolons. It looks so ugly, doesn't it? అందువల్ల మనం ఏం చేసామంటే అందువల్ల మనకు while is very simple, and the syntax also, it is very simple, right? So one increment, one initialization, the condition, and then increment. Even in for loop, you might have got some confusion, like, okay, what happens first, and then second, and then third, and then fourth time, right? First is initialization, second is condition check, and third one is executing the block, and fourth one is increment, again comes back to condition check. Here also it is the same thing. So look at the initialization, and it checks for the condition, and it executes it. After that, you have to increment value so that either it can be true or false. Sometimes what happens when beginners write the program, right, they will forget this. I is equal to I plus 1. They will forget. Let me say what happens here. When I is equal to 1, you will come inside while I less than or equal to 10. You forgot this. After executing this, it goes back to here. I is always 1 because it never incremented. That is the common mistake that I saw many people doing. So it's like they'll forget the increment, and the while loop will continue execute, and it will after the resources, like let's say your computer resources gets exhausted, that time it just comes out throwing some error. So you have to make sure that you comes out of the while loop, else you will go into infinite looping problem, right? All right, okay, let's get into it. Let's write one small program. Let's print very simple thing like 1 to 10. That's it, the 1 to 10 numbers. If you want to take something else, you can take, but let's just get into it, at least understand what is a while loop, and then we'll see. I'm just going to use the, okay, instead of changing this, what I will do is I'll just copy this program. Yeah, now I will rename it as while. right? While underscore 1. This is the first program that we are writing, and the while. So where did it go? It's at the end, right? This is the program. Now I will just close this. I don't need it. Don't save. Okay. So now I'll just remove all these things, right? I don't need it. So I'll just keep I only, and then I'll remove this. Let's forget about what is for right now. So what I was saying, so we will just start writing one simple program that prints 1 to 10 using loop, while loop. I is equal to 1, right? What was the syntax? So you want to remember the syntax, right? Generally, okay, let me just say I'll write here, okay? So the syntax generally, so while syntax is like this. While is a keyword, and you will open a bracket, and then you will open a block, inside that expression. So now this expression, you have to manage it. If it is always true, let's say, then it will never come out. So you have to make sure that this expression is one time at least it gets false, so that it will come out. So it depends on your program, what you are trying to achieve. So if you want, so you can write expression 1, but expression 1 is a initialization. So, and expression 3, let's say here is the increment. Oh, sorry, it should, the expression 3 should be inside this while loop. So expression 3, where this is responsible to increase or decrease the value, so that you can come out of this while. Told you many times right now. This is the syntax, and let's move on to program. I is equal to 1 while I less than or equal to 10. So now you got the condition here, and what you can do is, after the condition, so you saw that, right? Like, let's say I'm just giving like this. So less than or equal to, you cannot separate it like this. You have to keep them together. So if not, then it will throw error. So all right, okay, now what you are supposed to do, this is what I was saying. After I less than or equal, I just wanted to print the numbers till 10, right? So now what you need to remember at the end, I is equal to I plus 1. Make sure you do this fast, else common tendency is that you will forget. So that's why make sure you do this, and then now write whatever that you want in between. So all we wanted to do is print numbers from 1 to 10. So the numbers are there in I variable. All I need to do is just print I. If I wanted to print with tab space, I'll just give \t. The number that I wanted to print from I, right? I'm just ending with a semicolon. That's it. This is very simple looping statement. If you already know for loop, right, it is very easy to understand. There is no complexity in it. And Control Shift B, I'm just compiling this program. Come on, compiled. Yep. Okay, now I'll have to enter into program C programs, right? Execute the program while exe. You got the numbers. That's it. It is very simple, right? I just printed it in a row, but you can print it in new line, anything. If you want, you can use one more inside this while. That is again called a nested while. Does it matter? You can use for also inside. You can use another while also inside. So when you use multiple loop statements, that is what is called nested. Done. You can use another while inside. So the same way. So try to write one program at least using while. So what you can do is you can print 1 to 10 multiples. I think that's it. I'm going to end the video here. I hope you understand what is while. It's very simple, right? See, the learning concept is very simple. The only thing is you have to practice. That makes it hard. So if you have time, please spend time wisely, and you can learn one programming language. I'll meet you in the next video. Please don't forget to like, and if you want to subscribe, please do. I think that's it for today. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, have a good day.